NHL regular season recap, night 155, 11 games on the schedule tonight. We kick it off with a pretty good one between New Jersey and Winnipeg, the return of Tyler Toffoli to New Jersey, of course. No goals in the first, but Jack Hughes opens the scoring in the second, and a Nick Ehlers beauty ties it up before we head to the third, where Nico Hischier scores his 23rd, Jack Hughes scores his 23rd, and Timo Meier gets his 22nd on the empty net, and it's a 4-1 win here for New Jersey. Excuse me. Luke Hughes, 3 assists on the night tonight. Jake Allen was pretty good. He only faced 19 shots, but of course stops 18 of them. Laurent Brossoit, meanwhile, was very busy, stopping 37 of 40 New Jersey shots. They do get the 41st on the empty netter, of course. And this is a must-win game for the Devils, and they do get it done. 3 games over the next 4 nights for them. They need to win basically all 3 of them if they want to stay alive in this playoff race. They are absolutely in do or die mode with how far back they are to a lot of the other teams in the East. So a must-have 2 points here. They get it done 4-1 over Winnipeg. The Blues visiting Ottawa, and despite it being a game in Ottawa in March, this game actually meant quite a lot, pretty much only to the Blues, though, and they showed it in the first period. 2 goals, one from Brandon Saad, one from Colton Parayko. In the second, Kostelic would make it a 1-goal game, but before the period ended, Jake Neighbors would get his 23rd of the year to bring the lead back to 2 headed to the third. Dom Kubalik would make it a 1-goal game once again, just 2 minutes in, but Jordan Kyrou scores his 22nd to make it a 2-goal game once more, and then Jake Neighbors, his second of the game, makes it a 3-goal lead, and it ends up a 5-2 final here for St. Louis. With this win, they're just 2 points back of Vegas for that final wildcard spot. 2 points back of Vegas for the final wildcard spot. Vegas does play later tonight against Seattle, who is a bit further back, 11 points back of Vegas. They're pretty much done in this playoff race. But if they can somehow beat Vegas, that is a huge, huge win for the Blues, bringing them within just a game. Vegas does have the extra game in hand, but nonetheless, cannot be understated how big of a win this is for St. Louis. Joel Hofer went huge, 37 for 39, a .949 save percentage in this outstanding win, one that, again, much like New Jersey, this team needed desperately. They get it done 5-2 over Ottawa in Ottawa. The Bruins taking on the New York Rangers, and despite scoring the first goal in this one, the Bruins kind of got outclassed by New York. Jake DeBrusk scoring the only first period goal, but Panarin scoring twice in the second to make it 2-1. Brazo would tie it in the third early on, just 3 minutes in, but Fox, Zibanejad, and Panarin once again completing the hat-trick effort would round out the scoring in this one, and it's another 5-2 final here. Jonathan Quick, the better of the 2 goalies over Jeremy Swayman, which feels weird to say out loud, but it's what happened. 24 of 26 for Quick, 26 of 29 for Swayman. And it's a solid 5-2 win here for the Rangers. Neither of these teams are worried about playoff, chances. They're both going to make it. It's just a matter of whether or not they can both hang on to the lead in their division. The Bruins, of course, in a little bit of a tight race here with Florida about whether or not they get first or second and have to take on the Leafs or someone like Detroit or Tampa, whereas the Rangers are pretty much not locked in. The Canes are still chasing them down, but probably going to end up facing a wild card team while the Canes are going to end up taking on Philly, which who knows, maybe that's better for them. Nonetheless, the Rangers secure the 2 points tonight, 5-2 over Boston. The Red Wings taking on the Islanders in probably the biggest game of the night. Prior to this game, the Wings had 76 points. The Islanders had 73. The Islanders, of course, having the extra game in hand. So this game means a hell of a lot for both of these teams. Detroit, of course, held on to that last wildcard spot prior to the game. And after tonight, they still do as well. They win it by a final score of 6-3. No goals in the first. Christian Fischer, Mike Riley, Andrew Kopp, and Dylan Larkin all scoring in the second. It's a 3-1 lead for Detroit after 2, and they scored 2 more before the Islanders would score once again. Andrew Kopp with his second, and Patty Kane with an electric one from Alex DeBrincat in old-fashioned Chicago style. Pajot and Barzal would score to make it a 1-goal game. A 2-goal game once again, but Dylan Larkin with the empty netter, his second of the game as well. And again, it's a 6-3 final. Larkin looked great in his return. He is clearly the emotional leader of this team, and it shows when he's back in the lineup, and obviously when he's not, it shows in a negative way. They were the better team. I mean, they got outchanced pretty heavily by the Islanders, but just way more efficient on capitalizing on their chances. A lot of their chances looked more dangerous, even though they got outshot. So it's a solid win for the Wings. They now have a 5-point lead on the Islanders and a 3-point lead on Washington. So this is a massive 2 points for them. We'll see if they can keep it up this weekend. 6-3 here is the final. The Hurricanes taking on the Flyers, and this one unexpectedly kind of a low-scoring game. No goals in the first. Martinook, Lawton, and Chatfield scoring in the second. Travis Konechny about halfway through the third ties it once again at 2. And in the overtime, it's Seth Jarvis with a pretty nice little goal who ends up being the hero. A 3-2 final here for the Canes. Freddie Anderson was very good, as was Sam Ersson. Anderson 30 of 32 for a .938. Ersson 30 of 33 for a .909. Just slightly better here for Freddie. Good enough for the 2 points. And of course, Philly, though they won't be happy with the loss, will be happy happy to secure the 1 point. They are 1 point up on the Red Wings, good enough for third in their division. Of course, Washington 4 points behind them as of tonight, so a little bit of room to catch them. They do have 2 games in hand on Philadelphia, so they could make up those 4 points quite quickly, but Philly will be happy with that lead for the time being, and of course, the Canes will be extra happy with the 2 points tonight, now just 2 points behind the Rangers. Once again, 3-2 in overtime is the final. Day 2 of recording this, I can still barely talk and breathe at the same time, but the Preds taking on the Florida Panthers, and the Preds just can't stop winning right now. They win by a final score of 3-0 over a very strong Florida team. Philip Forsberg, 2 goals and an assist, powers them to victory here, and of course, Kevin Lankinen, 33 of 33 in his net. Sergei Bobrovsky was also really good, 34 of 37 for a .919, but just no goal support. Gus Nyquist scoring the other goal for the Preds here. Not really too much else to talk about. Those are the only 3 goals in the game. The Preds at this point securely going to be locked into a playoff spot. The Panthers, of course, not catching up to Boston with this loss, but they still have 11 or so games to go, so we'll see if they're able to grab that first spot back from the Bruins, or if they will be the team that gets the lottery win of facing off against the Leafs in the first round. Tonight, though, it's a 3-0 final for the Predators. The Sabres visiting Edmonton, and this game was pretty close through the first 2 periods. Paterka, Olofsson, and Draisaitl all scoring in the first, so 2-1 Buffalo after 1. Edmonton flips the script. They score twice, and Buffalo scores just the once in the second. Ekholm, Paterka, and Hyman with his 47th of the year. So it's 3-3 after 2, but in the third, Edmonton kind of takes over. They outshoot Buffalo 15-5 and outscore them 5-0 in the final frame. It's Nurse, Ekholm with a beautiful Harlem Globetrotters play from Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl to set him up on a tee in the slot with a one-time slap shot that UPL has no chance at. That's his 7th of the year. Hyman scores once again his 48th. Ryan McLeod his 12th, and Connor Brown's 2nd, and suddenly it's an 8-3 win here for Edmonton. Just absolutely turning up the heat in the third there. UPL had a very good first 2 periods, and then, of course, kind of fell apart in the third. 31 of 39 for a .795. Not great statistically. Stu Skinner didn't look all that confident in this one, but 26 for 29 for an .897. And, of course, the 2 points, which is what matters most to this Edmonton team right now. They will take it, once again, a final score of 8-3 over Buffalo. The Canucks hosting the Canadiens, and this was kind of a ho-hum game. It went pretty much as you'd expect. Not really a lot of shots for either team. 25-17 in favor of Vancouver. Nikita Zadorov scoring twice in the first period, 2-0 Canucks. Connor Garland scores with about 2 minutes to go in the second to make it 3-0. Slavkovsky would make it a 3-1 game, less than a minute left in the period as well, but Niels Amon scores in the fourth and third to make it 4-1, and that was pretty much it. Casey DeSmith was solid, 16 of 17, again, didn't face that many shots. Sam Montembeault, 21 of 25 for an .840, not his best night, but again, didn't really get a lot of offensive support from his team, and it's a pretty easy 4-1 win here for Vancouver. The Ducks taking on the Blackhawks, and this was not the most exciting game. No goals in the first 3 in the second. Killorn, Leeson, and a second from Killorn, and then Frank Vetrano scoring the only goal in the third period, his 30th of the year, so good to see that from him. And surprisingly, this is Lucas Destaal's first career shutout. He goes 29-29. Considering the way he's played this year, was just kind of surprised to see that. I guess he's still well under 100 NHL games played, so not the most shocking thing, but I don't know. I feel like the way he's played lately, he would have gotten one by now, but he is on the Ducks, so that is what it is, I guess. Arvid Soderblom, 21 of 25 as well, an .840, not his best night, but again, no goal support, hard to win when that happens. It's a pretty easy win, I guess, for the Ducks. Neither of the teams are all that good. The Blackhawks, though, seem to be quite worse than the Ducks, so they get it done here. 4-0 is the final over Chicago. The Golden Knights taking on the Kraken, and this was actually a very big game for both teams, but especially for Vegas. Minnesota starting to creep up on them, and St. Louis as well at this point, both just a few points back, so really needed the 2 points here if you're Vegas, and they do end up getting it done. Jack Eichel, his 22nd of the year, is the only goal in the first. We get no goals in the second. Jaden Schwartz ties it with about 6.5 to go in the third, but Keegan Kolesar, with just a minute 20 to go, buries it, and it's a 2-1 game. Chandler Stevenson would score an empty netter with about 12 seconds to play, but the game winner goes to Kolesar, and it's a huge goal for him, his 6th of the year, and far and away the biggest so far. Logan Thompson was really strong in this one, 21 of 22, not overly busy. Philip Grubauer also very good, but much busier, 34 of 36 for a .944. Again, just another case of the goalie on the losing team not quite getting enough goal support. Again, just a huge 2 points here for Vegas. They need to try to keep that gap extended behind the 2 wildcard teams in Minnesota and Seattle. They managed to get that done tonight. So we'll see what, or St. Louis, excuse me, not Seattle. So we'll see what happens over the weekend if any of these 3 teams playing can make that gap look a little bit different. But for now, they get the extra 2 points up, 3-1 over Seattle. Final game of the night here, the Lightning visiting San Jose in a game that they should win 10 out of 10 times at this point in the year, and they do that. It wasn't all that exciting. Nick Paul and Will Eklund scoring in the first, and then in the third, it's Point Duclair in a second for Point. All of the Lightning goals assisted by Kucherov. He had a gross one in this game, too. He continues to just be one of, if not the best players in the league this year. Andrei Vasilevsky, 21 of 22 for a 9.55. Mackenzie Blackwood, 17 of 21 for an 8.10. Not his best night. The Bolts are in kind of this weird spot where they're probably not getting caught by anyone for their playoff spot, but they're also probably not catching the Leafs. So kind of just trying to continue to play well, make sure nobody gets hurt in this final stretch of the regular season so that they can be ready to go for the playoffs, where they're probably going to match up against the Rangers, which is going to be a crazy series. But for now, they take care of business against a down-in-the-dumps Sharks team. 4-1 is the final, and that's it for NHL regular season recap. Night 155, we'll talk to you guys tonight for just 4 games. There are some big ones. Washington, Carolina's big, and then, of course, anytime one of those top 3 Central teams plays, the points matter quite a bit in that one. So enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll talk to you guys later tonight.